The greatest satisfaction I get is when a kid, a young girl, a young boy likes the art. The ones who have the best, most clean perception about reality. They don't have all the baggage and all the stuff that we have when we see something. What they see is what they get. And when the kid likes an art piece, then it's just really meaningful to me. I was born in Medellin, Colombia. I was the second kid of a large family. We were 8, 4 girls and 4 boys. My father and my mother lived in different parts in Colombia, among them in the Caribbean and in Cali. And then we left in 1967. My father and I, we came first. We went to work at La Pizca, which is picking up lemons and oranges in Cucamonga, California. And then after that, when my mother came later with the rest of the boys and the girls, we had a house in Atwater. At a very young age, I was already building my own toys because, you know, when you're like a member of a family of 8, they don't have too much money to buy toys to every one of the kids. So we have to build our own toys. And what we did was we will go to like a mechanical shop and buy ball bearings. And we'll create our own little cars to go down streets or we push each other. And that was when I learned how to put things together. Also, my uncle was a billiard player. And in Colombia, you could walk into a cantina with no problem. So I would look at him playing billiards. And that thing about a table with a green felt and 16 balls of different colors really attracted me. And I guess I kept that in my mind. And I was always interested in the movement, the force, the vectors, the cue, how the ball moved when they put the English, when they did the spinning. So that kind of inspired me to do this series of works based on the billiard game. This is the first piece I did on a series of 16 based on the billiard game. And it was a technical challenge because all the angles represent the kinetics of the billiard game, implied energy, plus angles, plus lines. And it really is a challenging art piece that I had a lot of difficulty building. What I wanted to do with this piece is create an alphabet out of the letters, out of the numbers, and write with it los números. Then after that, I started thinking that maybe there's a metaphor for a public transportation in which the numbers and the colors codify the movement of this small little character that goes from city to city, from museum to galleries, to libraries, to bookstores, bringing the information to me, and I created the little art pieces. This piece is about 3 elements. You got the toy, the slingshot, you got the game, the billiard game, and you got the colors. So visually, it's got a certain implied kinetics to it. You look at the piece from the end, like a billiard game, and then you shoot through like a gun, and then you get the number 4. In the early 1960s, when I was in high school, they published Hopscotch, which was a book written by Julio Cortázar, an Argentinian writer of great imagination and great technical sophistication. Hopscotch was a novel you could read by jumping chapters from one to another one, or you could read from first to second to third, like that. But this guy really inspired me because his element was the game, the playfulness, and that really got me going into investigating the element of what they call in Spanish lúdico, which means playfulness. I always wanted to do a piece about hardwood floors. I wanted to do it like a hardwood floor that is like a plank that goes back and forth. I was riding the bus in Los Angeles and I saw a kid playing with the slide puzzle, and the need came right away. So I did this. We glued the poster into plywood, and then we did the tracks, the tongues, and the grooves. And basically, it's a toy, but I made an art piece out of a toy. I have gotten a lot of response from kids who want to play, and actually, it's an interactive piece. You could move it around. It was the Rubik's Cube of the early 20th century. It drove people nuts because in order to put it together, I think that there were 16 pieces and one was missing, so it was 15 pieces, and that's the missing link. So you have to move them around, and it ain't easy. It takes time and it takes a little bit of prefiguration, because when you move one, you need to know the position of the other one. So when you put them together, that has to land it on site. What is the function of the pedestal in art? So when you have a pedestal, it's kind of a second-class citizen. You either paint it or it's like, so I want to incorporate the pedestal into the art piece. So, and I also wanted to take the utility out of a tool, which is an aesthetic value. So I got the saw and I cut it and I welded to make it triangular. And then I made the pedestal with fine wood. This is rib cut oak, red oak, I think. And then we just put the saw in it to make the pedestal and the tool one piece. This is a kind of a narrative about how someone, it may be you, me, anybody, become homeless. I get the little white, pretty house in one frame with the sun shining. Then how, but circumstances, then you end up with the house being deconstructed, end up with a little shopping cart, sleeping in a tent, and all of a sudden, dying in the park. I saw an artist use a level for like about 2 hours trying to level an art piece. So I thought maybe I just make a piece that is already leveled itself and plumps itself. So I bought 3 levels and I made this small little art piece. Living in a city like Los Angeles and driving a car back and forth in the traffic, you come with an idea like this. This is how you feel when you're like in the 405 and the 105. It's absurd, and it's also a way to move around that doesn't, it's a contradiction, basically. And the title of the piece is Traficulo. This piece title is Moco, Curador y Artistonto. So we have the museum or the contemporary art space called Museum of Contemporary Order. We have a curator that is legally blind, and we got an artistonto pursuing a career that is never going to end up in nothing. I made it, but then the title came later, and it's called Nationalism, and basically it's a sentiment of patriotism that bites you back, because nations are artificial divisions created by corporations. So this is about toys, how close toys are related to art pieces. And I decided to, make little mice out of the game, which is sort of like a leitmotif that it's, is ubiquitous in my art. And this is just sort of like an alter ego. It's a character that goes around libraries, bookstores, secondhand stores, museums, architectural landmarks, new buildings and new stuff. And then he brings the information to me, and I digest it like a good mouse. I have some droppings, And I read short stories. I mean, I write short stories, and then he leaves me all the mess behind, which I have to read to put together. We also have sort of like a literary aspect to this exhibit, which is right here in this piece is the Petit Prince, El Principito, which actually overcomes Machiavelli's The Prince. This is probably the most brutal description of power by Machiavelli, and also the tenderest description of love and understanding by Saint-Exupéry.